Ladies and gentlemen, we're not only celebrating today the 5 years of microinsurance in the Philippines, we are also crossing a new milestone as we are formally launching in this room the enhanced regulatory framework for microinsurance, the micro agri, and the micro pre-need. To tell us about it and give us a preview of things to come, please welcome Insurance Commissioner Emmanuel F. Dooc.
Definitely, it's a long and fruitful journey during this past 5 years insofar as the microinsurance movement is concerned. So, fellow travelers, thank you for walking with us every step of the way. And I would like to thank Hiroyuki-san. He showed how much he loved microinsurance by abandoning his own emperor and joining us this evening. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Exactly 10 years ago today, the Insurance Commission issued the first memorandum circular that introduced the word microinsurance into our consciousness. In the beginning, I say people were doubtful as to the viability of this insurance in sachet form. Skeptics were saying that assuming it survives, this microinsurance thing would just remain micro or super small. Many doubted if it would ever attract any major insurance player. Well, to these skeptics, I say, they never heard of Microsoft. It became one of the biggest companies in the world, despite the fact that it is not only super small, but also soft. Don't put malice in that statement. I call those people doubting Thomases. And now we can confront them and say, you're dead wrong. The pillars of microinsurance believe wholeheartedly in it. They had a vision. They saw microinsurance as the way to go. They were totally convinced that microinsurance would be the next big thing in the insurance industry. And true enough, thanks to all of you who are here right now, to our very generous foreign donors and development partners, the Asian Development Bank of Japan for poverty reduction, the German International Cooperation, To our government leaders like Undersecretary Gil Beltran, and another good friend of ours who had gone ahead of us to the promised land, Director Itoy Almario. I wish to thank his mother and his family for contributing Itoy as one of the greatest advocates of microinsurance in our country. And let me mention also my colleagues at the IC, the two former commissioners who had also joined the great Beyond. They, together with Itoy, they must be beaming with pride wherever they are now of what we had achieved during this past 5 years. In 20, we in the Insurance Commission made sure that we created an environment suitable for microinsurance. A few planted the seeds. Yet, all of us here watered the plant, took out the weeds, and even added some fertilizers to make the plant grow faster and taller. In 2010, with the sustained help of our foreign partners and support from other government agencies, as the Cooperative Development Authority, thank you for your presence, the Securities and Exchange Commission, our longtime partner in this advocacy, and the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, we were able to develop the regulatory framework and the national strategy for microinsurance. These were the fertilizers I was alluding to earlier, and they made the seed of microinsurance grow faster than most have imagined. In so short a time, microinsurance was able to attract private insurers who began seeing the potential in protecting the poor. In the past, traditional insurers saw the poor as beyond the reach of insurance. With microinsurance, they realized that the only thing necessary for the poor people to buy insurance is to make insurance products affordable and accessible. With this change in mindset came tremendous growth. In 2012, barely 2 years after we introduced a regulatory framework, our country was already recognized for having the highest market penetration rate of microinsurance among 19 countries in Asia and Oceania. Yet, as the old maxim says, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. The proof of microinsurance, or any insurance for that matter, is in the payment and settlement of claims. In 2013, many of our countrymen finally tasted the pudding. They proved that microinsurance worked. As shown earlier, about 112,000 households were benefited by the microinsurance policies they bought. When now they want more pudding. So the challenge posed to us is how we can make the pudding more delicious and palatable. And we should serve different varieties of pudding. When Super Typhoon Yolanda, the strongest to ever hit our country devastated the Visayas in November 2013, it put microinsurance to the test. As I have said, over 110,000 households suffered loss of lives and property because of Typhoon Yolanda. And the companies involved paid more than 500 million pesos in claims. If you consider that the average size of claim is 5,000 to 10,000, that's an awful lot of people receiving benefits from the micro insurance program. This amount may not sound much to us, but for a typhoon victim who lost everything, that 5,000 pesos was manna from heaven. Hindi ito po manna sa magulang. That 5,000 did not only buy him rice and ulam for the day, but that 5,000 pesos provided him with hope. American evangelist Harold Lindsay once said, and I quote, "Man can live about 40 days without food, about 3 days without water, about 8 minutes without air, but only for 1 second without hope." That 5,000 the Yolanda survivors received provided them with much needed hope. It was not a dole out, it was something they invested their hard-earned money into, no matter how meager. That 5,000 restored their dignity, their belief in themselves. It gave them a sense of fulfillment that the poor could also take care of themselves. Now, 2 years after Typhoon Yolanda, we are here for another milestone in our micro insurance history. We are introducing an enhanced regulatory framework, and we are also introducing new frameworks for new microinsurance product lines. The enhanced regulatory framework seeks to broaden the scope and deepen the reach of microinsurance providers without sacrificing their viability and sustainability while protecting the insuring public. In the enhanced regulatory framework, we clarify and delineate the roles and functions of microinsurance regular agents, brokers, and distribution channels, while providing guidelines for product bundling and sharing of risk among local and foreign insurance entities. Our goal is total financial inclusion through microinsurance. Our battle cry is kasama lahat, walang maiiwan. Bawat isa ay uusad, lahat ay uunlad. Pag may siguro, tayo'y aasenso. How are we going to do this? We are going to do this through the enhanced regulatory framework we develop and the new microinsurance product that will soon hit the market. We have developed frameworks for new product lines, namely micro-agri, micro-health, although we still need the signature of DOH for that, and micro-pre-need. I even propose micro-HMO, now that this industry is now placed under our jurisdiction and supervision. Microagri is microinsurance for agriculture. We all know that though we are already known as an emerging tiger economy, the Philippines remains dependent on agriculture, as most of our countrymen live and work in rural areas. If we bring wealth to the countryside, the entire country will prosper. And we also know that nature has blessed us not only with vast natural resources, but also with major natural challenges. Our farmers and fisher folks, those who depend on nature for their livelihood, are the ones often devastated by these challenges. Kung tayo walang pasok kapag may bagyo, ang ating mga magsasaka at mga mangingisda walang kita dahil hindi makapunta sa laot, kaya walang makain kapag may kalamidad. This is very ironic because these farmers and fisher folks are supposed to provide food for us. Their crops, their harvest, and their catch are supposed to be sold to the market and eventually enjoyed on our dining tables. Yet, the same farmers and fishermen are the ones that go hungry whenever a strong typhoon hits our country. They are the most vulnerable sectors whenever a calamity visits us. Through micro-agri, we want to help our farmers and fisher folk, as well as those people whose source of income is agriculture. Manage the risk brought by typhoons, droughts, and other natural phenomena. In the framework for microagri, we are making microinsurance more simple, more affordable, and more accessible. In this framework, we are also encouraging microinsurance providers to innovate and design products that are tailor-fitted to the needs of agricultural clients and promote public-private collaboration. Among the highlights of this framework is its recognition of parametric-based insurance or index-based insurance, which is distinct and separate from the traditional indemnity-based insurance. Once these parameters are established, then a loss is automatically assumed and payouts need to be made. This is definitely a challenge for us regulators and for you as private insurers. The challenge is how to develop products, how to price them accordingly, and how to make them affordable, and at the same time, sustainable or viable. But imagine how important this development could be for our millions of farmers and fisher folk. Finally, they will soon have a tool to use in managing the risk they face. Another product line that we will be introducing is microhealth. It may be a cliche, but it is worth repeating here. Health is wealth. And health is something that our poor countrymen cannot afford to lose because in most cases, it is the only wealth that they possess. Imagine a jeepney driver who works 12 to 16 hours a day. Imagine a laundry woman who washes hundreds of kilos of clothes every day for different households. Imagine a street seller who goes through our traffic-clogged streets to sell goods. Imagine of one of these days, these people suddenly get sick. Sabi nga sa isang commercial sa TV, bawal magkasakit. Because if these people get sick, they will have nothing to eat. And worse, they will have nothing to buy medicines for them to get well. This is the reason why we will soon have a microhealth framework. Let's pray that all concerned will sign the document. This is the very compelling reason why we need microhealth. We just recently produced a Miss Universe. Our next big dream is to achieve a universal healthcare. There is still big rooms for the private sector to participate in universal healthcare through micro-health insurance. Through the framework, we seek to augment the government's universal healthcare program by providing more affordable options to our low-income countrymen. Please help me pray that this micro-health framework would eventually be signed by all parties concerned, and that microinsurance providers can soon begin developing and selling products for microhealth. And finally, the third microinsurance product line that we are launching today is micro-preneed. We acknowledge that many of our countrymen are poor, yet our poor countrymen must never remain poor. I've been saying in the past that it is not a sin to be born poor, but it is a sin to die one. So, for our poor countrymen to escape from the clutches of poverty, they must first begin to dream, and they must be taught how to work for their dreams. This is where the pre-need industry comes in. We have developed a micro-pre-need framework to help poor families, including contractual employees who do not have a steady stream of income. Pre-need is like saving for a future need. Yes, like saving for the education of your kids, for retirement, or even burial when death finally comes. Yung micro-pre-need for burial ho, hindi maliit na kabaong. It is actually a Filipino invention, and it says so much about our culture of preparing for the future and the things we hold dear. True pre-need, without doubt, is important. Our countrymen have doubts on this line of business. As you well know, our local pre-need industry has been like a ship that has sailed through very turbulent waters in recent years. It has gone to hell and back, so to speak. Yet, despite the pounding it had suffered, the pre-need industry stands and is recovering, ready to sail the blue waters once more. We have consulted with the industry to be able to develop a framework for micro-pre-need. We believe it is the future of microinsurance. And we believe it is a shot in the arm of the pre-need industry, as it will allow pre-need companies to explore uncharted waters via micro-pre-need. We are looking at providing micro-educational benefits to enable poor families send their kids to acquire VOCTEC, vocational technical education. We are looking at micro-pension plans for seafarers whose contracts are limited to 9 months a year. These micro-pension plans can guarantee small payouts that would mean a lot in their retirement years. This is indeed a very important day for all of us. Today, we are looking back to the early years of microinsurance, retracing the baby steps that brought us to where we are now. Yet today, we are lengthening our stride, expanding our reach, and raising the bar, because we know that microinsurance still has so much room to grow. The key is for us regulators and policymakers and you, our development and foreign partners, private insurance providers, and distribution channels to continue developing the market for micro insurance. Developing the market entails countless hours of hard work. You have to educate the people. You have to study their needs. You have to come up with innovative products, explore a new ways of distribution, and market your new products. And finally, you have to deliver on your promises when the time comes for you to pay claims. The enhanced regulatory framework and the new microinsurance framework that we are launching here today are all designed to create an environment where you could do all the things I have mentioned. Our goal is for more people to trust microinsurance. Once they already trust microinsurance, selling microinsurance products will then become easier. I foresee future modifications in these frameworks, since we will only know what works and what doesn't once they are already being implemented. I foresee our society continuing to evolve. Filipinos, even the poor ones, would rely on technology more and more. I foresee the day when buying microinsurance and receiving claims would be as easy as buying and receiving a cell phone load. 10 years ago, if you approached me and told me about all this, I would have laughed and told you that you are crazy. Yet today, I am 100% convinced that microinsurance would lead the way for the insurance industry to continue to evolve as it works to remain relevant to the people it seeks to serve. Malaki po ang ating magagawa sa industriya ng siguro upang ang lahat, mayaman man o mahirap, ay maisama natin sa pag-unlad. Banal ang layunin at matibay ang ating pananalig na makakamit natin ang tunay na financial inclusion sa ating bansa. Ang determinasyon natin sa industriya ng siguro ay nasusukat sa alab ng ating pagnanasa. Ang ating pananaw ay malawak at malayo kaysa sa haba ng ating mga dilo. At ang ating tagumpay ay kasintayog ng ating pangarap. Walisin natin ang kahirapan sa pamamagitan ng microinsurance. Maraming salamat sa lahat ng tulong nyo. Mabuhay po tayong lahat. Mabuhay ang microinsurance.
Thank you, Commissioner Dooc.